Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm ill. What a shock. But this may or may not be the best time, probably not the best time for me to be starting this video, but I started the import slot at the weekend. It's now currently Thursday the 22nd. I started this like 4 days ago and I'm literally only about 63 pages in. I haven't been reading every day. I've had a few days where I haven't read. And like, it's okay. I thought, oh my god, it's a hockey romance. Let me eat that up. But I think they've just introduced like way too many characters at once and I've not had enough time to properly just sit down and binge this. So, my aim is this video is going to be a 24-hour readathon. Am I gonna do 24 hours straight? Absolutely not. I'm doing the timer method. This normally takes me a couple of days, but the thing is today is the release day of the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender series on Netflix. So am I gonna get distracted by that? Possibly. Most likely. And then tomorrow I have a busy day full of appointments, so yeah, potentially this isn't the best time to start this video, but you know what, even if I can only do a couple of hours today, that's better than nothing. But yeah, basically we're doing a 24-hour readathon. Hey, I should have just said that. As I say, we are 63 pages in. I believe there's about 353 pages, so let's say we've got about 300 pages left to read. So my reading pace feels a lot slower at the moment because low iron, ill, everything. So don't expect tons of books to be read in this video because I'm so slow at reading, but I enjoy it, so that's what matters. So we're going to start by finishing off the import slot. I might go between a couple of books and not just like binge all this first. So basically, the tentative TBR for this video is I would love to finish this, and then I'm also going to pick up The Housemaid. This is a definite, so this is possibly going to be the next one that I go for, like physically, just because I really do need to get to this in this video so that I can get to the sequel in a different video which I've got planned. So then I've also bought quite a few recently on my Kindle, and I've got quite a lot on my Kindle library that I would like to get through, and I would like to make some use out of this because I got it for Christmas and haven't actually used it yet because I've been reading physical books for specific videos. So yeah, I've got some like murder mystery, romance, fantasy, thriller, classics, all sorts, so that's another option. But for now we're going to probably just start with the import slot. One of the main goals for me for this readathon and for my year's worth of reading in general is that I want to read a more balanced mix of genres. Not necessarily a wider variety, because I tend to stick to the genres that I like and that I know. But this year I do want to incorporate some more fantasy, some more classics, just some more like different options. So hence we're trying to keep all of the different genres I'm reading at an even level, because I'm pretty sure last year just over half of what I read was all romance, and it just gets really boring. I'm sat here with the import slot and I'm about to try and read some. The thing is, this book isn't that hard to read, right? The text isn't small, it doesn't go right to the edge of the page, like, it's just quite easily readable, and it's quite sort of simple. It's not anything that takes a great deal of brain power. It's just like
Like I think I mentioned earlier, they introduced like all the teammates at once and no one's distinctive from anyone else except for the main love interest. Which is fine, because really that's all you need. But like I keep getting confused by who the roommate is. Anyway, I need to just crack on with a bit more of this, because I'd like to get through it and get on to my next read. I'm going to try and do maybe a couple of hours of reading now. I'd love to try and get to the like 200 page mark today. That's 140 pages. Is that doable? I'm not sure. But like I say, I don't really have an awful lot of time tomorrow, so hopefully this video won't take any longer than a week.
So I actually finished reading the import slot last night, fairly late. I got to the 5 hour 44 minutes mark on the timer. So that means that I managed to read 290 pages of this in just under 6 hours, which I don't think is too bad, because I think I might average like 50 pages an hour at the minute, depending on the book. Obviously these things are all just subject to the type of book it is, the text size, like, you know, how you feel. Like your reading speed isn't always going to be the same, and I did say I'm quite slow. So finished this one. I think I'd give it like a 3.5 stars. Like, I liked the fact that there wasn't really a third act conflict or breakup, and the communication aspect was quite good. As I say, they just introduced like all the teammates at the beginning quite quick, and it was hard to distinguish who was who. But once we got into it, I actually started enjoying it quite a bit more. So yeah, solid read to start off the video. Not my favourite, but I'm glad that I finally powered through and this video made me read like quite a bit of it and just get it done. So in the interest of what I said about different genres, I think the next one which I'm going to pick up is going to be The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This is the main one that I need to get to in this video, so I thought if I do it now, it's done out of the way. And I might, because this is a thriller, I might do a murder mystery later in the video. But yeah, so I'm going to do this one. I have no idea what it's about, and I kind of want to go into it blind. I think the chapters look really short flicking through it, so that's going to be quite good and hopefully quite quick and easy to fly through. Okay, so this isn't my midway check-in, like I'm not that far through, but I just wanted to give you an update because I haven't really spoke much since I finished the import slot. So we are up to 6 hours and 45 minutes on the timer. That's what I've read. So I've still got like 18-ish hours left. No. Probably about 17 hours left, I think. But I've spent about an hour reading The Housemaid and I'm up to page 60. Guys, I'm actually reading this so quick at the minute. Like, this is the quickest I think I've ever read. This is like averaging like a page a minute. Like, what is going on? This is insane. I'm not a fast reader at all, but I think this book is just like, the chapters are so short and I'm just like flying through it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's going to be a 5 stars, I don't know yet. Like, it's not like the greatest book I've ever read, but I am quite hooked, and yeah, I'm quite enjoying seeing where it's going so far. So I'm hoping, my aim is to spend another couple of hours reading it today, maybe get like halfway this afternoon. See how far I can get through it today as a whole. I'd like to try and be able to get mostly through it today. It is going quite quick, so I think if I knuckled down and I really put the time and effort into it, I could finish it today maybe. So we're following Millie, who's been in prison for the last like 10 years of her life or something, and she's working for the Winchester family, and things just aren't, they're giving creepy vibes, you know, and it's giving weird, and I don't like the mum or the daughter so far. Like, that, I have to say that, like, I don't like them. and I feel a little bit sorry for Millie. Like, I don't really feel any specific type of way about the particular characters. The dad seems okay, the gardener seems okay so far. Like I say, I'm only 60 pages in, but I'm having a good time with this, and so I'm gonna keep going. So you'll have seen from that last clip that I've now made it to part 2, so I'm up to chapter 38, page 192, and we have hit basically 9 hours on the timer. It's 8 hours 59 minutes, so I'm going to call that 9 hours just for ease. So that means I've read 192 pages in about 3 hours and 15 minutes, I think, which isn't too bad. I think that still averages out near to a page a minute, like a little bit. I've obviously slowed a little bit, but I mean, I've made quite a dent that I'm now I'm over halfway. I'm a majority of the way through this book. I'd say maybe like 60% at the minute. It's getting so much more gripping, and like I keep thinking to myself, like, okay, so some big things have happened, like how are we gonna develop this story more? Like, how is there still so much more to get through? Obviously I know we need to catch up to the present from the prologue, but I'm like, I don't, and then stuff just keeps happening still, and I'm like shocked by it. And like, I'm not saying it's my favourite book ever. It's kind of giving me a weird mixture of The Perfect Couple by Lisa Hall and like a little bit like Verity as well. Like, it's kind of a bit reminiscent of those two, because they're both sort of like domestic thriller type things as well. And if you've read either of them or both of them, then you might sort of know what I'm getting at with the vibes. Like, I'm not saying that it's an exact replica of those stories, but it's sort of giving similar energy. So I just had to do quite a bit of maths that I think I've got right now. I think I did it wrong at first, but I think it's now right. So I finished The Housemaid this evening. It's late. My family are asleep. I can't be too loud. I'm not going to be too long with this. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure what my rating is yet. Like, was it the best book I've ever read? No. But did it keep me hooked and I binged it in a day? Yes. So this was 328 pages and I read it in 5 hours and 39 minutes. So I actually read it quicker than I read the import slot. And the import slot, I didn't even read the full book. I'd already started before I began this challenge. So we're now at 11 hours and 23 minutes on the timer. So we're about halfway through this readathon. Thank God. Because I do not want this to take any longer than like a week, if I can help it. So we finished book 2. So we've done a romance and a thriller so far. So I believe the next book, which I'm going to move on to tomorrow, we are definitely going to do a Kindle read, but because I said I want to do a mix of genres in this video so it's not so repetitive, and again it helps me with my wider mix of genres reading goal, I think we might jump really randomly out of pocket for me to a classic next. And I have, through Prime Reading, one of my 10 free slots through that, I actually have The Great Gatsby on my Kindle. You cannot see that at all, this one here. But I think we're going to do that, and then we'll probably also do The Queen of Poisons on my Kindle afterwards, because Queen of Poisons is a murder mystery and The Housemaid was a thriller, so there is a bit of a difference there. And also I love the series that The Queen of Poisons is a part of. I enjoyed The Housemaid, thought it was fun, not quite like 5 stars, do you know what I mean? Probably like a solid 3.5. I don't think I'd ever like really think about it again. And like I say, if you've read that book and you've also read The Perfect Couple by Lisa Hall and Verity by Colleen Hoover, to me it felt kind of like a mix of those two books, like vibe wise. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and update you and let you know the stats of the reading speed. Okay, so I'm just quickly giving you an update. So I'm up to chapter 5, 44% of the way through. I think there's only like 9 chapters, so yeah. It's going quite well. I've definitely been reading it more slowly. I think just because of like the way that it's written, because the fact that like a lot of these classics are older than the books that I tend to read at the moment, like modern books. So I'm enjoying it. Do I fully understand what's going on? Mostly, like, I get that he's having like all these lavish parties and stuff and all this, and he wants to meet Daisy. So it's like, I'm understanding it, but I think because I'm so tired from reading so much so quickly yesterday, and it being a bit harder to comprehend, I'm reading a bit slower, because we're at so timer-wise, we're just past 13 hours, so we're 13 hours and 8 minutes in. So I'm like just over halfway a bit. And yeah, I'm hoping to, I don't think I'll finish it tonight because it's taken me, like, I haven't really read for that long today, but I've read like a couple of stints, but I think I probably won't finish it tonight if I'm honest, and I do want to just like chill out and relax a bit as well. But hopefully I should be able to finish it tomorrow, and then we can hop into our next read. I'm just coming on here really quickly, apologies if you can hear my family in the background. So basically I have finished The Great Gatsby now. It was fine. I think it's like a 3 stars to me. Like, it wasn't the greatest thing that I've ever read, but it was entertaining enough. So I actually finished that within a total of 3 hours 51 minutes, and according to the Kindle app it says that there's 163 pages. I don't know for certain because it wasn't actually giving me the page number throughout, it was just letting me know like it was doing that random like location number thing that it does sometimes. So I'm going by what it says on the Kindle and going with 163 pages. I think Goodreads says like a higher number or something different, but Goodreads always says something different. So I'm going by the Kindle app store. So I did 163 pages in 3 hours and 51 minutes. So a little bit slower than I have been recently. But yeah, we're now at the 15-hour, 14-minute mark. So we have just under 10 hours left of this readathon to go. Seems like so long. So the next book which I'm going to be jumping into will be The Queen of Poisons, also on my Kindle. Yeah, so obviously The Great Gatsby was slightly slower. I think that's probably just because it's like a classic. I'm through it now, so now I'm going to fill out my reading journal, and then we will move on to The Queen of Poisons, and then we might even have time for one final book to start. I won't be able to finish another book as well, but we'll be able to start a final one. So possibly a fantasy, but we'll see. Okay, so I just wanted to jump on here and update you guys. I actually finished reading The Queen of Poisons last night. We're now at the 21-hour 14-minute mark, so we've got like just less than 3 hours to go, 2 hours 45 minutes, or 46 if you want to get technical. So it took me exactly 6 hours to read The Queen of Poisons, which was 327 pages, which is pretty good for me because I normally manage like 50 pages an hour depending on the books sometimes and how I'm feeling, so that was quite good. So yeah, we're going to move on to our last book for the last remaining bit of time. Now obviously we're not going to be able to finish, or I say we, I'm not going to be able to finish a whole book in under 3 hours, unless it's like 100 pages and it's a novella or something, but that's not the case. So we've done a romance, a thriller, a classic and a murder mystery. So I don't want to double up on genres because, as I said, I want this to be quite like a wide variety of genre mixes in this 24-hour readathon. So the genre which we haven't yet tackled is fantasy, of what I tend to typically read, or literary fiction. I have a couple of options. So when I was initially thinking fantasy, right, because I barely have any literary fiction, I think I only have like 1 or 2 maybe. Okay, apologies, my battery just shut off, so I've got a new battery in now. So initially, what I was trying to say was, initially when I was thinking fantasy, I looked at my shelf and I thought, I don't want to do any series because all the series I want to do is their own like series reading vlogs specifically. So I don't want to do Once Upon a Broken Heart because I haven't read Caraval yet. I'm not going to do the Six of Crows duology. I don't really want to do the Immortal Games just yet because I've only just read Powerless and I think they're kind of similar sounding plot-wise. So I'd like to spread those out a bit, even though I'm desperately excited to read that one. So then, of the standalone ones, I'm kind of left with The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, Book of Night, The Night Circus and Stolen Air. Now, I have been desperate to read The Night Circus for so long, but that's too long that it won't, I just don't want to do that right now. So I thought about The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea because it's shorter, but then I was like, I'm not sure. What are my main goals and objectives for reading this year? Because let's remember, we need to try and prioritise that as well, because that's the whole point of this video. Is one of my goals is to read a better range of genres. So my goals are to either finish series, read a wider variety of genres, prioritise my 24 for 2024 little like mini immediate TBR thing, and quality over quantity. So there might be a couple of others that I'm forgetting, but those are like the main ones. So then I thought, of my 24 books that I want to read, do I have any that are anything else? So I have Still Life, which I believe might be a fiction, like a literary fiction. I also have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a literary fiction, so I could go down that route. But then I realised that one off of my 24 books to read in 2024 is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Now, apparently, I googled what the genre of this is, and it told me it is historical fantasy fiction. So that kind of covers a couple of genres that I don't typically tend to read. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to go for The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for our final book. Obviously, I'm not going to finish this. I'm probably only going to get like 100, 150 pages in, maybe, something like that. Okay, so I'm at 21 hours 58 minutes on the stopwatch, so I'm basically at 22 hours, so I have 2 hours remaining. My pace has slowed over the last few days. Addie LaRue is going well. Like I say, I'm not really very into it yet, and that's not the book's fault. Like, I'm underlining and stuff. It's not the book, it's just me with how I'm feeling unwell and also all the distractions going on. So yeah. Okay, so we've hit the 24-hour mark on my stopwatch, so we are now done with this video. So yeah, we're now finally done with this video. I made it up to page 130 in Addie LaRue. I have been annotating as I go. So if you want the stats for this video, I finished 130 pages of Addie LaRue in 2 hours and 46 minutes. So we did 290 pages of the import slot to begin with in 5 hours 44 minutes. Then we did 328 pages of The Housemaid in 5 hours 39 minutes. Then I read 163 pages of The Great Gatsby in 3 hours 51 minutes. 327 pages of The Queen of Poisons in 6 hours. And then I did 130 pages of Addie LaRue in the final 2 hours 46 minutes. So it was a total of 1,238 pages in 24 hours, which I think is pretty good. That's slightly better than 50 pages an hour on average, I think. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how this has gone actually, and I honestly didn't think we would get through so many books. Obviously some of them were a lot shorter, like not all of them are like thick. And obviously some are on the Kindle, so that made them a little bit quicker anyway, because I do think a Kindle is slightly quicker paced. But yeah, that is it for this video. I am gonna quickly go through the first 4 books that we read, and then I think what I might do, I'm not 100% sure yet, but because I've got a busy week and I've got surgery at the end of it and I'm going to be a bit groggy from that, I think I don't really want to overlap this book into another reading vlog, but I do want to give my full thoughts on it somewhere. So what I might do is try and binge this in the next few days and then add my final thoughts in like another clip in this video, because I don't think I'm going to be able to film anything else this week, and like I said, I don't want to double up books for videos. I thought maybe I could do like reading a certain number of pages a day and include it into that, but honestly with so much going on I don't think I'm going to. Anyhow, so we started with the import slot, which I thought was good. I thought it was fine. I just think it was very average to me personally. Like, they introduced all the teammates at once so quickly, and they had kind of similar names and like weren't very distinguishable, so I did sort of struggle with that aspect of it. But once we got into it, I was enjoying the romance, and I thought that they had good communication. I liked the fact that there wasn't really a third act conflict or breakup or anything, and yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised. I was a bit let down because I sort of expected it to be a bit better than that from what I'd heard from my friend, but nevertheless it was enjoyable. Would I reread it? Maybe. Would I carry on the series? Maybe. I don't have a burning desire to, but it was good enough that, like, you know, it was kind of like a nice little palate cleanser, and I had missed a hockey romance for a while. Then moving on to The Housemaid, wasn't a 5-star for me, but it was very enjoyable and quite fast paced, and I loved how the chapters were short. They ended off on like almost mini cliffhanger things that kept you wanting to know more and keep going. Like, I binged it in like one sitting basically in one day, and yeah, honestly I had a great time with it. I can't really fault it too much. If you heard what I said earlier in the video, if you've read The Housemaid, The Perfect Couple by Lisa Hall and Verity by Colleen Hoover, it kind of felt like a mixture of the two of them, like a cross between The Perfect Couple and Verity. That's kind of the vibes that it gave me. So if you have read any of those, let me know if you agree. Then, oh my god, I'm so proud of myself, I did my first classic and I stuck to my guns. Like, look, it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever read, but I'm proud to be able to say that I've given a classic a chance, and I did enjoy it. I just found the writing a bit more hard to comprehend, I guess. Then I moved on to The Queen of Poisons, which
I just love this series and the characters so much. Like, it's not a 5-star, but it's so good and it's so cleverly done, and I was really shocked by the outcome. Like, I did not think that that was what had happened, and I was like genuinely flabbergasted that this person was the person that had committed the murder. So it was quite nice to finally get back to another murder mystery as well, because it's been a while. But I am intrigued to get to the Thursday Murder Club this year and see if I prefer it, or see if like the vibes are very similar, you know, that kind of thing, because I know that's a fan favourite that's very well loved. But yeah, and then, so I'm enjoying Addie LaRue so far. I think it's a bit more of a deeper story, which I do tend to enjoy more recently now. And yeah, I don't think I'm far enough through it to be able to give like a proper thing, but I like how it's going back between the past and present and kind of like explaining how she's come to understand what she can and can't do and things like that. So yeah, as I said, I will give my full thoughts on this one once I'm finished. Okay, so it's a while later. I didn't forget. I've come on here to give you my final thoughts of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I know I only got about 130 pages into this in this 24-hour readathon, but I'm trying to vlog everything that I'm reading this year and include all my thoughts in the reading vlogs, so I don't end up having to repeat myself with monthly wrap-ups. So I did want to just come back on here, jump back in and give you my thoughts on this book. Now, is it 2 weeks later and it's currently the 14th of March? Yes, it is. Did it honestly take me 2 weeks to read this book? Yeah, it did. But with some, like, discrepancies, I guess. Because, if I'm being honest, did I read this every single day? No. Did I want to? Yes. But, guys, I've had my surgery, so I was under general anaesthetic. I've been feeling quite groggy, right? I'm not gonna lie, for the last, like, fair few days, almost a week. And there's just been a lot going on that it was not the book's fault. It was just the circumstance of the situation and the timing. So I was enjoying this book whenever I picked it up and read it. And I obviously, look, I annotated quite a lot, right? You can see all the tabs, like, it's fine. I'm unsure what to rate this. Like, I haven't fully landed on a rating yet. I'm thinking it's somewhere in the range of 3.75 to like a 4 or 4.25, but I'm not 100% sure. I think for the time being, on Goodreads I've put it as a 4. And I think that's what I'm going to stick with for now. Like, it wasn't absolutely mind-blowing the best book that I've ever read to me personally, but I did really enjoy this, and I loved the topics that it touched on and how, like, when you go back and forth in the time periods, like, in the past and present, it's not confusingly done like it was in How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. Like, at least each time it's like chronological to where you left off in that timeline last. And yeah, I thoroughly really enjoyed it. It touches on some very sort of philosophical aspects, I guess, themes, in terms of, like, you know, what really matters with a life, like, if you don't leave a mark and you don't do anything significant, like, is it worth it, kind of thing, all these sort of things. A lot of stuff which existentially I wasn't quite in the mind space for at the moment because it was hitting a bit too close to home, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my reading experience with this book when I was reading it, and as I say, it was no fault of the book. It was, I think, what hindered my reading experience of this a little bit and made me so unsure on a rating is the fact that I read, like, the first few days of the month, I read it quite a lot, quite well, and got quite into it. Then I sort of had a bit of a break and I've sort of, like, had it here and there a little bit. And then I've only just finished it off in the last couple of days because I finally got my Spotify audiobook hour listening time back.
So I think the fact that I read it so broken up and not just continuous didn't do it justice. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would thoroughly recommend. I wondered if it would be a bit too intellectual and wordy and just a bit too advanced for me, but actually it was fine. It was a really good time, and I didn't find like the writing style hard to get through or anything. I just think if you're gonna read this book and you want to get the full enjoyment, make sure you have the time to dedicate to it, because I did not, but I still enjoyed it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna settle on like a 4-star for now. Obviously ratings change over time, mine often always do, because I get so excited that I've finished a book that at the time when I finish it I just give it like whatever rating I'm feeling, and then obviously whether it sticks in my mind or not over time is a contributing factor to whether it then changes or not. So yeah, that is my conclusion of everything that I read in this video, because I've already spoke about the other books, I believe. Although actually one thing that I do just quickly want to mention is, even though I believe I've already spoke about the other books, apologies if I haven't, but I'm pretty sure I did, is I know I read The Great Gatsby on my Kindle for free on Prime Reading, but I have since picked up a gorgeous, it's almost like a special edition really. I love it. There were so many different versions online, and so I ended up choosing this one, and I'm not disappointed. So at some point I think I would like to do a reread where I can annotate it maybe, because it's only about 150 pages anyway, so you know. But yeah, that is my purchase that I made. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff you guys know how to do. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you in another one very soon.